Yeah, so the first piece of news is neither nasty or horrible. It's actually quite nice and lovable because it's Lord of the Rings. And it's from the guys at Games Workshop, and this is the announcement of a new plastic kit that we kind of had seen previewed a little bit in the past. I think it was during one of their big sort of open days they did at Warhammer World, and this is for Merry and Eowyn, / Dernhelm, if you're going to be riding into battle incognito. For those people that are going to be playing as the Rohirrim, if they're diving into battles at Pelennor Field and the like as well. So yeah, there's got a new plastic model that includes Eowyn and Merry both on foot and mounted. And the cool thing about this kit as well is that Merry himself can actually be removed from the mounted version of her. So if you want to have it so that it's just Eowyn riding into battle, then you've got a good option there, which is really cool. This also came on the back of some additional news about them revamping the Battle Companies book. Now, Battle Companies is the book that Games Workshop put together, which sort of looks at sort of very, very small skirmish-based gameplay within the world of Lord of the Rings, and The Hobbit as well, actually. So you've basically got the idea of like a captain and then a whole bunch of their warriors that fight alongside them. And they've sort of redeveloped this for the new version of the game, which came out last year. And also thrown in some extra bits and pieces as well. So as well as the existing warbands that you would have known from the previous book, they've also included 2 new ones as well. I think it actually might be 8 new ones or something like that, actually. But there are now the Dead of Dunharrow, so if you really want to play as those ghost guys, you've got some really cool options there, which is very cool. And they've also thrown in 2 different styles of campaigns. Now, you can either play your games as sort of standard sort of pick-up-and-play-style adventures, where you just play on the tabletop between 2 warbands, or you can dive in and do something more of in a campaign. So you've got either the map-based campaign, which it will be sort of focused around the idea of you fighting as both the forces of good and evil, trying to take control of areas of Middle-earth, which I thought was pretty awesome. Or you've also got options to play through a narrative campaign, and this one is all focused around the idea of the Blue Mountains and sort of your trek up there to look for lost treasures and things like that. So if you'd like the idea of where Thorin went when he was in exile with the rest of the dwarves from the Lonely Mountain, you can go and explore that sort of area of Eriador as well, which I thought was really, really cool. But yeah, some really good stuff coming for Middle-earth, and it's really nice to see the game growing and expanding. And hopefully, if they're doing new warbands for a lot of these these different factions in the game, maybe we'll start to see a lot more of those old metal models come back, maybe a few new ones as well in plastic. I know they've actually been talking about doing Dunlendings as well, which could be pretty cool. So yeah, very awesome stuff.
I am quite surprised at how well the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit game has actually stood the test of time. You know the way some IPs get a lot older, and then just the fan base completely drops off because the new shiny thing's out.
Yeah, but the fan base in this case are people who were fans of the book and the film.
Yeah.
And that's stood the test of time for 70, 80 years now. You know, that fan base isn't going away as much as we can try. They just keep springing up. Like those skeletons from Jason and the Argonauts.
Yeah, the interesting thing about it as well is that I think a few people would also agree with me, especially those who like the Middle-earth games as well, is that it's actually one of the best rule systems I think the Games Workshop ever created.
Yeah.
It's very fluid, very easy. They used it in other games as well for the Warhammer Historicals license, which I'm sure a lot of people know about, but Legends of the Old West and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I played that.
But yeah, I just think that rules mechanic and the way that it sort of was able to replicate both larger scale battles and those smaller conflicts between just a handful of models is really, really interesting. And I think Battle Companies is where that focus should really be when you're playing this kind of game. Not to say that you should, only play that and not anything else, but I think just those real personal struggles between a fellowship or a band of warriors is a really cool thing to sort of look down on when you're doing Middle-earth gaming. So
yeah. I think it's one of those that if the miniatures are good, and they are, and the rule set is solid, and it is, it will. It's the same as Blood Bowl or Necromunda, who existed for probably over a decade when GW were doing nothing with it, because people wanted to play it.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're actually going back and people can now get into it who maybe have only had either friends playing it or heard about it through the internet. So it's good to have it. Also, the campaign system is excellent because I think most games should have a campaign system.
Yeah.
You see, I really do like sort of legacy games that you can play game to game and see things grow, evolve, and change.
It'll be interesting to see how the map-based one goes. Is it a specific map that they're including in the book, or is it just here's how you run a map-based campaign?
Go find a map.
Because finding yourself a map isn't tricky.
No.
Yeah, I believe they've put like a sample version of it in the new Battle Companies book, which I believe is all sort of done up as hex grids and that kind of thing. So if you remember things like Mighty Empires back in the day and that kind of thing, you've got some really cool options there. So
very cool, and well played to them for keeping it going for the fan base.